the dear panels, fellow researchers, colleagues, and friends, a pleasant day to all of you. As teachers from Tilza National Comprehensive High School, it is such an honor for us to present our research paper entitled A Closer Look to the Integration of Caviteño Culture in Virtual ESL Classrooms, Promoting Intercultural Awareness in the New Normal Setting. As we all know, the Department of Education has this vision to relate various topics in all its subjects in the context and the call of our students. This is where localization and contextualization is highly needed, and based on local, historical, and social significance. The integration of the Caviteño culture becomes much more important in English language instruction, not just as a representation of our local context, but as a greater appreciation of the Filipino culture. However, we are faced with such a dilemma as the teachers are compelled to face distance learning. We struggle with cultural integration as a whole. The lack of instructional guidelines in bringing the Caviteño culture in virtual ESL lessons. As such, we want to achieve this goal in our study, to explore the integration of the Caviteño culture in virtual ESL classrooms and promoting intercultural awareness in the new normal setting. We can do that by answering the following research questions. 1. How do teachers integrate the Caviteño culture in the new normal ESL classrooms? 2. How does it compare to the established model of Intercultural Communicative Language Teaching or ICLT? And lastly, what instructional guide may be proposed to integrate the Caviteño culture in promoting intercultural awareness in virtual ESL classrooms? For our literature review, we resorted to the 4 major theories and principles of intercultural integration to gauge how teachers would often try to promote the Caviteño culture in their classes. Old Englishes by Moulton of 2012, Intercultural Communicative Competence Model by Barony of 2011, and its concepts as suggested by Tran and C. Fogg by 2016, and the concepts of localization and contextualizations in the Philippines. For our methodology, we opted to use an intrinsic case study design where we explored the actual Caviteño culture in the integration and practices of 5 first-time online English teachers from grade 7 to 10. They were chosen through purposeful sampling, and we observed one of their classes for the 3rd grading period to explore how they promote intercultural awareness through the Caviteño culture in their heterogeneous classes. We resorted to class observations and survey interviews where we analyzed the data through thematic coding of their practices and thematic analysis of its comparison to the principles of ICLT.
Looking at the results, we organized all the observation notes as supported by the survey interview responses into various themes and cultural scopes as seen in the lesson process itself. Input, notice, practice, and output, as they are direct parallels of the lessons in DepEd's lesson exemplar: introduction, development, engagement, and assimilation. Based on the cultural content presented by the teachers, a lot of them prefer a mere mention of pop cultural references and examples as they integrated international, national, local, and non-cultural or generic examples. The level of Caviteño cultural knowledge presented is more often than not based on local examples presented, whereas social issues, intercultural knowledge, traditional practices, languages, and personal interests are limited to international, national, and generic usage. The content present is typically isolated from language and grammatical forms as they are highly knowledge-based. The teaching strategies are highly behavioristic and traditional, as the cultural experiences of Caviteño students are limited to schema building and experiential sharing. Mostly, there was no Caviteño cultural integration when it comes to their art of questioning and direct instruction, as they are based on students' personal experiences as kids. The language practices are highly mechanical through drills and generic theories, while the communicative tasks are just limited to local dialogue readings. The assessments are simply isolated and pen and paper exams with no Caviteño culture integration. They are more international. The materials are two-dimensional pictures and videos. Based on the following implications, teachers did not integrate the Caviteño culture at the beginning. The level of interaction was behavioristic, traditional, and individualistic, and its authenticity is just based on understanding. The language forms and cultural analysis were treated as separate entities. While teachers were culturally aware, they still prefer international cultures over the Caviteño cultural integration in language and in practice. Thus, it can be concluded that the Caviteño cultural integration in the virtual ESL lessons are limited and barely localized in the lessons. The teachers admit that it was due to virtual teaching and curricular restrictions. Therefore, we suggested the following guidelines to be applied in the teacher's lessons. For input, the target culture should be introduced at the very beginning through authentic cultural application and translanguage method. In notice, language and cultural analysis should be compared as a whole. For practice, there should be communicative, collaborative, and culturally practical in real life. In output, evaluations should be performance and outputs-based. The activities should promote general inquiry and cultural immersion, and instructional materials should be useful in real life, and assessments should promote intercultural communicative communication. By following the guidelines, teachers will have a guide to apply Caviteño culture in virtual ESL lessons, as they can be useful to help guide our colleagues when it comes to cultural integration in the virtual setup, a perfect way to boost our professional development. Here are our resources. Thank you for listening.